What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Dylan Talks Tone, and welcome to a live review. This is something I didn't actually plan on doing this way. However, things happen. So today we're going to talk about the Kemper player, and I'm going to attempt to show you what I like about it, why I think it's amazing, why I think a lot of people on the internet are wrong about it, and well, it's just cool. I really like it a lot. I shot an entire review that was supposed to come out today. I went to edit it this morning. There was no audio. Somehow I had a microphone on the wrong setting, etc. And here we are. So I was like, you know what? I don't have time to reshoot the entire thing and re-edit the entire thing. So we're just going to do it live. So I got a couple of cameras set up. I'm going to show you some stuff. So here's what I'd like to do. First of all, I want to talk to you briefly about what this thing is. Obviously, it's a small Kemper, right? You've seen the pictures of it. In fact, we have it right here. You've seen the pictures of it. You can see it's smaller than my hand. And a lot of folks on the internet would say that there's not enough features in it, that it doesn't have enough stuff, that it doesn't do what it's supposed to do. You know, it's not worth it. I think they're wrong. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take you through this thing. I'm gonna show you some of the features that I think make it super useful. But I want to give you kind of well, let me show it to you first. You're gonna hear it too. I'm going to show you some benefits of the new Kemper liquid profiles versus the older ones. And then we need to talk about philosophy of use. That's the biggest problem. The biggest problem people have with this kind of stuff is they're not understanding the right philosophy of use. That is my opinion. So before we do that, let's go ahead and let me just take you for a tour around this thing, and I'm going to show you what it is. We can take questions about it at the end, but because most of you were probably planning to see this in an actual video, I want to kind of treat this as a video thing. So if you have a bunch of questions, put a bunch of question marks in front of it. We'll kind of go back at the end and we'll try to catch them. If you use a super chat, I will try to catch that too, but there's some things that I want to plan to share with you right now. There's links to this in the description. There's links to the pickups we're going to use, all that kind of stuff. Okay, so first of all, let's look at the feature set of this thing. I'll tell you what. Pocket knife makes a good pointer. Okay, so we have two knobs up here that are effects function, delay, drive, things like that, depending on what effects you have. These are toggles for effects on and off. Kemper nomenclature says that red is for drives, blue is for delays and reverbs, I think. I can't remember. The lit up blue one is the Wi-Fi that's hooked to the iPad. The master volume is basically a master volume for your monitors, for your speakers, for your whatever, or for your headphones, etc. Rig volume. Every rig has a different volume relative to each other. And so, if you've got a rig combination that's quieter than another one and you go to toggle between them, then you get a big jump in volume. And so you can adjust between them so that they kind of seamlessly go across. That's what rig volume is. Of course, we got gain, bass, middle, and treble. Now, I want to talk about this as it relates to the liquid profiling versus the other kind of profiling. We're going to get the guitar, and I'm going to show you that in a minute. Kemper cone, that is one of the output settings that you can have. We have a bank up and down button here. We have 5 presets on each bank profiles. We have mappable buttons down here that we can use to do various things. It depends on how you set it up in the app. You can do lots of stuff to do that. A couple of these knobs have double functions. If you press down on the gain knob, you'll see that the button, the lights turn. Well, I don't know if I can show you if you can see it over there. Maybe not. Okay. Well, if you press down on this, then it becomes your adjustment for the noise gate. If you press down on rig volume, it becomes Bluetooth volume. So let's see. That's basically that. Let's go ahead and start on the app real quick, and we'll take just a run through the app settings. Now, here's the thing about this. Oh, I would recommend to you that depending on how you're going to use this unit, you need to do a complete deep dive study on the manual. This thing does it if you want it to do it. And I'm going to show you this, but I'm going to gloss over a bunch of stuff, and there's going to be a bunch of stuff that it does that we're not going to get to. Most of the time, when I do these reviews, I lean heavily, obviously, to how I'm personally going to use it. I do think that how I'm going to use it is how a lot of you may use it, though. So we'll see. The system settings here, this is a bunch of stuff, like your Wi-Fi and your how you want your tuner to turn on and off. Do you want it to mute? Like that kind of stuff. There's a bunch of whether you want I think this is where your foot switch mapping is, and maybe where your expression pedal possibly is in this section right here. So this is like some global settings for, bigger stuff. Next, we have rig. Rig has a couple of interesting things here. Rig has panorama, which is going to be your stereo panning. Transpose is like a digital capo. It's kind of interesting. Rig volume we talked about on the hard control over here. Same thing over there. This will route your volume pedal, so there is more for it there. Range and tempo have to do with some of the delay functions. You can assign these FX1 and FX2 buttons however you want. That's kind of a thing. So there's basically that. Input. This is very important. If you have never had a Kemper before and you have never been into modeling that much, you may have heard demos in the past and you're like, this is crackly crap. It sounds like it's terrible. One of the things that you may not have taken the time to do is come in here. First of all, play with your noise gate. If it's clipping too much, which in the factory setting, like when you first pull it out of the box, I think the noise gate is too overactive. And so it kind of cuts off the beginning of all of the notes. What I would say about that is just play with that until you get it where you like it. The other thing that's really important, I think a lot of people gloss over, is this clean sensitivity. There's more to it. There's a video on Kemper.com that tells you how to set this, but the long and the short of it is, if you have really hot pickups and you plug it into this, your input gain will be so high that it'll goof with all of your profiles and it won't give you a really nice picture of what your guitar should sound like. So you kind of have to get this right. There's a video about it. That's all we'll say about it for now, but that's really important. I would definitely, if you've heard bad profiles, if you've heard bad digital modeling before, a lot of it may have to do with the fact that your input sensitivity is not right. Because you can go from like a Strat to a P90 and it'll make it act different. So just something to know. Okay, so then we start getting into our block here. So we have, this is an effect. So this is a pure boost. So we click on this little down arrow button and we've got all this stuff that we can play with. So we got boost, wah, distortion, equalizer, compressor, whatever. You can put whatever you want in that block. This one's got a tube screamer. And if you click on this and you turn it on, you can see you've got all of the effects controls there for your tube screamer. Then next is going to be your amplifier. Now you can go ahead and choose whichever amplifier you want. There's tons of them. Or you can put profiles on there from, other places, etc. Let's see, let's go back. So fan twins number 3. So this is basically like a Fender twin. Then we have cabinets. So you can choose cabinets, which is pretty sweet. And then we have our kind of time-based stuff where our effects loop would be, if that makes sense. So this particular one has a rotary speaker. Excuse me. And again, you can see here assignments for effects at effects 1 and effects 2. So all these things can be kind of routed around. And then we have reverb, and you can pick a reverb, spring, you know, whatever you want, which is pretty cool. And then the output, this is super key too. So depending on how you're going to use the Kemper, this is key. So if you're going to use it with like a flat range, flat response, full range, flat response speaker, if you're going to use it as part of a pedal board with a regular amp, which we'll get into. We're going to talk about philosophy of use here in just a minute after we show you some sounds. This is very important. And so just remember that we talked about this in a couple of minutes. Okay, so let's go ahead and do some stuff. Let's go ahead and I'm going to grab a guitar and let's play some musics. Hang on one second. It looks like we have a super chat. Sorry about that. I missed that one. Super chat from Van Shank Guitars says, love the fancy pointing device. Thank you. I should mention that, thank you for the super chat. I should mention that our live streams are all ad free now. So super chats are a great way to support the channel because we don't have any ads on these things. We'll turn the ads on afterwards for replay, but not for live streams. Okay, so I'm going to use my Texas Toast Challenger and with my P90s in it, and we're going to show you some sounds. Now, I want to talk about the liquid profile versus the regular kind of profiling that before. And I really, oops, great. Oh, hang on. Crap. Well, hang on a second. Feel like yeah, it's still connected. There we go. Okay. All right, so let's just hear some sound. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about with this liquid profile thing. All right, so this is this Fender Twin deal. Okay, so now if we come over here to the gain, and we turn this gain down, we can really clean this up. So if we turn this way down, the volume's not going to change that much. See how clean it is now? Okay, so the reason why I want to bring this up is because the old school Kemper profiles were kind of snapshots of a particular sound. So if you wanted your amp to sound like this, okay, and then you wanted your amp to sound like this, you had to actually profile the amp twice, more or less, two different ways. And then you could toggle between them. The adjustability and the, how do you want to say, like the versatility between those two sounds and the fact that you could just adjust the knob and it does the thing is way better than it used to be. It's so good. So it's not just about the tone stack anymore. The gain stage is a lot more adjustable. than it used to be, which I think is really, really cool. Okay, so that's one thing that I really like. So what we're doing there was just turning on an overdrive and turning it off. Now, you can actually go ahead and do it here too. So depending on how you have those three knobs mapped, you can do whatever you want. Let's go to another profile here. That's the biggest thing that I notice. That's the biggest thing that I notice with this thing. Is the entire gain stage is so much more responsive than it used to be. And I really, really like that a lot. It sounds great. It is great. It works great. Okay. There's no long or short of that. That's the easy answer. So, and we could play through sounds all day long. It doesn't really matter. You'll be able to find good profiles that you like, and it's really cool. Now, philosophy of use, because I think this is where people get really confused. So, how do you use a Kemper? It's not just about pushing the buttons, okay? When you think about when you play a guitar and you want a couple of different sounds out of it, digital modeling, especially with a Kemper, in my opinion, but most other things too, Tone X and all this other stuff, is different than when you play with a normal amp. For a couple of reasons. One, you're basically reproducing a sound of a mic'd instrument. Okay. So there is a difference. Number one. Number two, when I say philosophy of use, what I'm talking about is this. If you have a Princeton or you have a Twin or you have a Marshall and you want another sound, if you want to change the gain structure, if you want to, you know what, I have a Twin, but I need a high gain sound. So I need to push the tubes. So I'm going to get X or Y pedal, but I want to get X or Y pedal so that it complements the EQ structure of the amp, right? So, think, for example, somebody who puts a top boost on an AC30, that gets super, super clangy, right? A TS9 works great with a Fender amp, and sometimes it works good with other amps too, but you pair things together so that you get various EQ settings. And a lot of times, the limitations of a particular amplifier mean that you use pedals to get other sounds other than what you own. So like, I have one amp, I want to get another sound, so I get a pedal to make it do that other sound. With a Kemper, you don't do that. So what you do is you say, well, you know what? I want a Marshall sound. So you just use a Marshall profile. And then what you need is, okay, I need a little boost. I need a little drive over that. I need to play with the EQ a little bit. I need to put some delay or some reverb behind that, some sort of time-based thing, some sort of rotary, whatever. And you build that sound. Then when you want a different sound, you just build another profile with some other amp and some other effects set up. So in my opinion, this is just my opinion, but most people, and you can get in the comments and let me know how you feel about this, but most people do not actually need 20 pedals in front of their amp and 20 pedals behind their amp. I'm exaggerating here, but when you really think about each sound that you make, you only need a couple of pedals here, a couple of effects here, and a couple of effects here, like front and back of it. This does that. Then when you need a different sound, you just use a different amp and a different set of pedals, and you just toggle between the two. Instead of thinking that you need this huge digital interface that has all of these effects available front and back. See, people keep thinking that the player is limited, and I don't believe it is. I think you just have to have a different philosophy of use with it. I think that you have to build individual profiles for each sound that you want, and then just toggle between them. And that might sound complicated, but it's actually not. This interface is really easy. So basically what you do is you say, okay, I'm going to play a gig. So I'll just give you my personal example. So the gigs that I normally play, and I haven't played in a while, but I'm just going to give you them, is I'll take a Princeton and I'll run it wide open with P90s, right? I'll need some drive on top of that to push it harder. I'll need some, for some songs, with a big delay. Other songs I'll need clean with slapback. Other songs I'll need like clean boosted with just some reverb. Those few sounds, 3 or 4, maybe 5, depending on the gig. Sometimes I have a clean with like a rotary speaker and like an auto wah. Maybe there's a couple of songs like that. Okay, so either way, what we're going to do is we're going to actually put together individual rigs for those songs. And whether you use a set list or not, it doesn't matter. You just toggle between them. So it's not like you have to have access to all of your effects at one time most of the time. Now, there are certain circumstances where you do. For example, praise and worship folks. A lot of times they're building very complicated soundscapes, right? With all kinds of shimmery delays and all kinds of crazy stuff. For those folks, a lot of times they do need 8 or 9 effects on at the same time. This will not do that. In that case, you basically just use the amp and the cabinet as part of it, and you put it on your pedal board and you use everything else. So it's like infinitely adjustable or infinitely usable. The Tonex does the same thing, but to me, this is better. It sounds better, and it's more established. It's easier to get more sounds. The community is stronger. This liquid profiling is better. I just think it's awesome. So it's not that it's limited. It's that you just have to figure out how you're going to use it and then put those slots in where you're going to use it. Now, is it going to take some time to set up? Yeah, absolutely. But I think it's worth it because once it's done, once you have your rigs put together, for example, if you have 4 or 5, because I really think that most people, when they're really honest with themselves, they're going to use 4 or 5 sounds. Overall sounds, I mean. Maybe 8 or 9. But once you get those things set up, then it's just a toe tap. And not a bunch of toe tapping, but literally one tap. No big deal. Super simple, super easy to do in that setup. So there you go. There's my, here, let me get this thing down a little bit. And let's, oh, Sarge, sorry about missing the super chat, sir. Really intrigued by the possibilities, but I fear that I'd be completely lost trying to use it as I'm a technological dum-dum. If you can use an app on an iPad, it's really not that hard. If you read the manual's really good. Here's the thing. There are people who are bent on spending time in forums rather than actually doing things. If you read the manual, I don't mean go into a forum and be like, hey, how do you turn it on? I mean, read the manual and actually learn it. It will tell you everything you need to know, and it's not that hard. It's very well laid out. If you're one of those people who comments on my videos quite often and is like, you didn't explain this in the video. I'm like, well, that's not what the video is about. Or that's not how I'm going to use it, so I hate this video. Well, then go pound sand. Like, you're just going to be like that kind of person. Sarge, I know you're not that kind of person. You know, you're the kind of person who's going to figure it out. So I'm not worried about that. I think that's something that you're gonna really enjoy. Let's see. People aren't putting question marks in front of their stuff like I told them to. So if I missed your question, what is the noise floor on the Kemper like? It's whatever you want. You can set it. There isn't one really. There isn't one, but what's really interesting about the Kemper noise floor is that it's very realistic to whatever the amp and the amp and the pickup stuff is. Like, it was very noisy here right now because I have this huge light and I have all this stuff in here. But when I'm playing it normally, like at night, like when I'm just, recording stuff, or when I was recording the video earlier, it's not. But all the lighting and transformers and stuff that I've got around here makes it a little louder. But you can set it however you want. Noise floor to me is a non-issue. I feel like if I bought a Kemper, I'd use it for about 0.002% of its capability. I think everybody does, but that's the whole point. The point is that you can use it for nothing, a couple things like I do, or you can really go crazy. The point to me is how easy it is. So the way I have it set up in this room, and you can't see it from here, but the way I have it, well, it's on the desk right now, but the way I usually have it set up is I have my studio monitors over there with my 18i8 Focusrite with this thing sitting on top of it. You've probably seen my funny post on Facebook with the 2024 stack. I go over there, I flip a switch, and in 3 seconds of boot up time, or however long it takes, not that long, I'm playing. And I have tons of inspiring sounds at my fingertips. I'm not one to twiddle knobs until there's nothing to do. I just play. If you are a person who is never happy with anything and you got to continue to tweak and tweak and tweak and tweak and tweak, well, you're never going to be happy anyway, so it doesn't matter. That's the thing. Let's see. I'm with the Tonex for now. And I think the Tonex is very similar in philosophy of use to this. I just think this is better, but it also costs more money. So, there is that. There's nothing wrong with the Tonex. I love it. I have one and I use it all the time. In fact, I use the little Tonex 1 also. But I think this is, I know this is better. It sounds better. The user interface is way better. The liquid profiling, the gain adjustment is better. All that stuff is better on the Kemper. But that doesn't make the Tonex bad. The Tonex is awesome. There's definitely just a difference in price and intended audience, I guess, is the way to say that. Can you loop with a Kemper? I don't think you can loop with this one. You can loop with a stage, and you can loop with the big one. Do you have a StewMac link? Yeah, there's one in the description. Let's see. I think we've pretty much covered just about all of the questions that I see there. You guys, this has been cool. Thanks for hanging out with me today. It's kind of fun to have to be able to do a live, but it was fun to do a live with y'all. I'm just going to scroll back here and just make sure that I didn't miss any questions. A couple things before we go. Make sure you know that we have new merch on the website. That's an easy way to support the channel. Also, Also, our other channel, Dylan's Huck's Tone, or our other channel is youtube.com/Dylan and Leslie. We're really working on that channel as well with some other stuff. You can see a video coming out, I think at 5 o'clock on that video, on that channel. The other thing I would like to mention is that we have pickup parts on the website now. So if you are a hobbyist, or even if you are not, if you need more parts, you let me know. We cut all of our own flat work here. So Strat and Tele flat work right now is available, and that's constantly evolving, as well as magnets and wiring and pots and all of that stuff. So thanks for hanging out, you guys. This has been super fun. We will see you tomorrow.